And back to Eastern Europe now, where war continues to rage in Ukraine. And now Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky is asking for more help as Russia continues its advance.
Here are three things that you need to know. Number one, President Zelensky made a plea to members of Congress asking for the U.S. to help create a no-fly zone over Ukrainian skies and to provide more weapons. Number two, today, following Zelensky's plea, President Biden announcing $800 million in new security assistance to Ukraine. And number three, more than 3 million refugees have escaped the war-torn country.
And tonight we are joined by Connecticut Senator Richard Blumenthal. And Senator, thank you for joining us tonight. We appreciate your time. President Biden responded to President Zelensky's request, but stopped short of giving him everything that he asked for. Did President Biden make the right call? And what do you think about a no-fly zone over Ukraine?
There are still strong objections on the part of the administration to a no-fly zone. And there are clearly tools that we can provide to the Ukrainians that will accomplish many of the same goals, which is essentially to end the Russian reign of terror, the bombing and missiles on apartment houses, hospitals, all kinds of civilian targets where innocent people are killed, and also the kind of humanitarian assistance that's needed in Ukraine. And President Biden provided some of those tools, like more Stinger missiles, about 800, more grenade launchers and drones, about 100 of those, but nowhere near enough, in my view, that will eventually be required. There should be many more of those Stinger and Javelin missiles and other small arms, but also more sophisticated anti-aircraft batteries and other means by which the Ukrainians can stop the Russians from bombing and terrorizing populations and their troops. If the Ukrainians have a fair fight, they will push back the Russians. Their troops are better equipped, more skilled, more courageous than the Russians. But the Russians have air superiority that must be countered more effectively than so far President Biden has done. And I think he's made a good start. I'm going to continue urging that more be done, and more urgently.
Now, Senator, you've witnessed this firsthand. You just got back from Poland and you met with Ukrainian refugees that were fleeing their homes there. Is there more that us here in the United States and also the rest of the world could be doing to convince Russia to back away?
Key question, the women and children fleeing the bombing in Yavoriv earlier in the morning, just before we got to the Polish border, had tears and terror in their faces. I will never forget the pain and real trauma on the faces of children and in their voices. And yes, there's a lot more that the world must do to meet this humanitarian crisis. About 3 million refugees so far have crossed the border into Poland and other countries, and probably double and triple that number within the next couple of months. And there has to be a worldwide effort. The Ukrainian American community in Connecticut has done so much to support the Ukrainian refugees, and so has the Polish community. And Poland itself has opened its arms. But the place where we were was literally 12 miles. And the ground shook earlier in the day when the Russians bombed that site, only 12 miles from the Polish border. So Putin is really taking this fight right to the doorstep of NATO and Poland.
Senator, do you right now see any path that would bring an end to this war anytime soon?
There are negotiations ongoing. Foreign Minister Lavrov of Russia said there was a hope for peace, but so far they've made almost no progress, at least so far as we are aware. But if the Chinese become convinced that this savage, inhumane invasion by a war criminal, Vladimir Putin, is bad for their interests economically or militarily, as they should, maybe they'll play a constructive role in enabling him to have an off-ramp. That has to be one of the goals, because Putin has gravely miscalculated the resistance that he would encounter from the Ukrainian people and the unity that President Biden has mobilized among the NATO nations. And so there is hope. that maybe Putin will think again, but he has proved so delusional and even deranged. And President Biden rightly called him a war criminal, as I have done repeatedly. What we saw when we visited Poland was such abject human misery resulting from this evil, but we saw uplifting good in the Polish people and the relief workers. And I encourage my fellow citizens of Connecticut, residents of Connecticut, to donate and support those refugees, which are part of this flood of displaced people, hopefully just temporarily displaced, coming across the border.
We've been seeing a lot of hope coming out of this, not only overseas, but also right here in our state center. Unfortunately, we are out of time, but we do thank you for your time in providing this insight for us.
Thank you.